Hey sports fans, Coach Nick here, and welcome to BBallBreakdown. Last night's Warriors-Rockets had a finish that can only be described as crazy insane. And before I go through the final 3 minutes, I wanted to point out a few things that caught my eye. Let's break right into midway through the first quarter. After this fantastic monster block by Dwight, watch Patrick Beverley try to step in bounds before touching the ball. To me, he didn't get close to establishing both feet in bounds, but the referee ignores it, and the Rockets race back down court. Iguodala gives Harden a little too much room before picking him up, but Harden can't hit the open jumper. Now here's a good example of Harden stepping in bounds with both feet before touching the ball. Barbosa makes a huge mistake by running away from the ball. It's the most important thing on the court, and Harden got the easiest shot of the game. At the end of the first, they find Harden on top in an ISO against Iguodala, a matchup the Warriors don't mind having. Now, study this move because you should add it to your arsenal. First, the shot fake. Quick, the ball goes to chin height only, then a jab step and crossover on the first dribble. Of course, this is the NBA, so Harden gets to lift the pivot foot early. As long as you don't do this, you're fine. Then another cross-body jab step with the left foot gets Iggy completely spun around, and then the gather into a hop for the jumper. The only problem I have is that he shot this with a foot on the three-point line, which is the worst shot in basketball, but still gorgeous footwork. Every once in a while, the Rockets uncorked a Princeton offense set. This is the Chin series, which starts with a dribble pitch to the wing, then a guard-to-guard pass before Ariza cuts off the high post's back door. This sucks Bogut down into the lane to cover for the cut, leaving Motiejunas to set the ball screen with no help for Iguodala. Another nice move by Harden, slamming on the brakes with the inside foot, through the legs to gather, then splashing the three. In the third, it was Clay's turn to guard Harden, and on this pick and roll, Harrison Barnes hedges hard, but ends up giving him a straight line drive with his left hand. Clay should have been turned the other way and been able to at least stunt at him to try and slow him down. Instead, it's a layup. I don't want to make it seem like Iguodala didn't have success against Harden. He had some terrific defensive possessions, like this one, where he cuts him off nicely, forces the tough step back, and contests this in the air, and maybe gets away with a little contact at the end. One reason Harden shot so poorly in this game was shot selection. The Warriors are so tough because they'll switch the pick and roll only to have Draymond Green on the ball. Harden bails them out with a stagnant ISO contested three-pointer with 11 seconds left on the shot clock. Here was something interesting. Down 10, the Warriors want to take the foul on Dwight, and while this is a good shot, sometimes we see players throw off the ball with hopes of getting the and one, but the refs don't call the foul, and it left the Rockets with a completely empty possession. And here's more reasons why Harden struggled to make shots. Look at the physical defense by Iguodala to start the possession. Bogut hedges high to not give Harden any room, but he splits them back to the middle. Bogut ends up screening his own teammate, and this gets the opening into the pick and roll. Again, the Warriors are happy with the switch by Draymond, especially with the clock winding down. Harden has no choice this time but to jade up in Draymond's face, and he relishes the shot a little bit as they go back down the court. Maurice Speights had a big game as well, knocking down some threes. When they have him at the 5, it's not a great matchup for Dwight, who wants to roam in the paint. That said, on this pick and roll, it was a switch, and Brewer needs to be much better on this contest. Here's motion weak and a simple sprint by Speights to set an inside ball screen. Dwight contains and would then be expected to close out and contest. That's not going to happen ever, and Speights gets another wide open three. JB Bickerstaff went small with Beasley at the 5 to match up properly, and when Clay comes off the good pin down, Ariza is a step late and can't stop middle penetration. This correctly forces Beasley to rotate over. Terry is then responsible for the kick-out pass, but he's late, takes too many steps to get going, and Speights gets another three. Let's get to the end of this crazy exciting game. The Rockets are nursing a 4-point lead. Iverson cut by Ariza, Flair cut by Demo, and then a pin down for Harden. Terrific stuff. When Clay successfully denies the pass, the Rockets smartly turn this into a pick and roll. The defense is still terrific until Clay decides to deny the pass with his whole body, gets way too high, and a great backdoor cut. Not enough pressure on Beverley, and Harden gets everyone out of their seats with this dunk over Speights. The Warriors matched the Rockets' nice offense with some of their own, an elevator for Klay. I prefer seeing Klay screen first before sprinting to the doors. The best way to defend this is to have the closest screener's man step up on the switch, and then the shooter's man pick up the screener. In this case, Ariza switching onto Draymond. However, Ariza successfully got through the doors, leaving the second option wide open, a cut to the hoop by Draymond, which gets them free throws. After Hackett-Dwight worked for the Warriors, the Rockets are terrible getting back in transition, getting caught with Demo on Livingston and Harden on Draymond. The Warriors break right into pistol action, and on a kick-out, this would have been the much faster Harden closing out instead of Motiejunas, and Iggy makes them pay. Forced to take Dwight out for until at least the 2-minute mark, the Rockets run the same set we focused on earlier. Iverson cut, flare cut, then pin down for Harden. But Harden stops his cut, almost waiting for Iguodala to get back onto him, and this turns stagnant. The whole defense is stacked to stop him. Klay does a great job to contest this tough shot as the shot clock expires. With the score still 93-92, the Warriors run high horns for Draymond Green, and it gets a little disorganized before Green finds his way into the lane. He makes a poor decision to throw this back behind him when Iguodala was wide open in the corner, but Ian Clark makes the tough catch and nails the tough floater. Notice how he hops into the floater, jumping off both feet for better balance and control. The Rockets come down with a simple spread pick and roll out top. Harden tries to find the seam but clearly travels. He gathers, then takes 3 steps. And now Ariza has to do something with it as the shot clock ticks down. He shows poor footwork as he tries to jump off the left foot and shoot a lefty hook. Definitely doesn't look like a move he practices, and the Warriors get to stop. Up by 1 under a minute to go, the Warriors are in good shape, especially because they're so good at plays out of the timeout. Here's a dribble pitch to Klay, screen for Draymond, so when he screens the ball, the help is late. The Rockets switch this perfectly and contain the Livingston drive. Golden State forces the closeout, gets the perfect shot, but Livingston gets touched on the shooting elbow by Harden, and then watch Harden's two-handed shove in the back of Green, which causes him to crash into Beasley, earning him a foul, and the Rockets 2 free throws. This was a real head-scratcher and not unusual for Scott Foster. The 2 free throws gives Houston a 1-point lead, and here's another good sideline out of bounds play by the Warriors. With 41 seconds on the clock, it's a perfect 2-for-1 opportunity as long as they get a shot up with around 32 seconds left. Watch Iguodala screen the screener, all this in order to get Klay open. But if you keep your eye on Iguodala, the Rockets screwed up their switching and left him wide open for a semi-lob for a layup. Golden State misses this, and Motiejunas comes up with a fantastic game-saving play, blocking Klay's jumper. Iguodala, still open from earlier, gets the loose ball, but they waste too much time and lose the 2-for-1. I think Klay screwed up on the math because it seems like he takes this shot with hopes of still getting the 2-for-1, and it's just a terrible shot. They could have used the rest of the clock to get something infinitely better. The Rockets need only take as much time as they can and wait for the foul, since I think a 3-second difference makes it too difficult to try and defend and get the ball back with any meaningful time to get a good shot. But here's where the Rockets look like a poor coached team. Rather than focus on keeping the ball in the middle out top and in the hands of Harden, Ariza throws a bad bounce pass that floats too much down to the baseline, allowing Ian Clark to deflect it out of bounds. Now, you can watch this 1,000 times and not come to a definitive conclusion, but to me, it looks like it hits Beasley last. The refs don't overrule, and the Rockets inbound. Let's look at how this play was designed. Already confusion to start, as Terry starts in the corner, but then realizes he's supposed to be under the basket. He's late setting his back screen for Harden, and they're forced to take their last timeout, which almost comes back to haunt them later. Now they go to a stack with Terry on the right lane line. They send Harden to screen for Terry, who drifts towards half court, then screen the screener. The problem with this spacing is that it allows Klay to come over and be an extra defender to deny the pass. Beverly was completely wasted in this play, doing absolutely nothing to be a receiver. Meanwhile, the Rockets have no choice but to throw the riskiest pass out there, and for sure, there was some wrestling going on down there, but I don't know if this ball was catchable anyway. Because Beverly did nothing in this play, it allows Livingston to be in perfect position for the steal. They race down court, Harden should almost get the assist on this, and Ian Clark appears to be the improbable hero in this game. The only thing going for the Rockets was that they turned it over with lots of time still on the clock, giving them the final chance. Without a timeout, Harden comes down the court and on an island. It's tough to figure out who should be doubling. At some point you can double because there won't be enough time to catch and shoot, but Harden attacks early enough to make this a tough decision. I'd say Clark should have sprinted over there to contest, but Harden also gets away with a little chicken wing to get this far open. The refs almost never call anything in these end-of-game situations, and Harden rises up for the easy 12-footer. After all this insanity, the Warriors still had almost 3 seconds to win this game. I really don't understand this play call. Why have Klay pinned down for space when you clearly want Klay shooting? There's not enough time for this play to develop even in the best of situations, but Draymond tries to attack before completely catching the ball, it rolls out of bounds, and the Warriors waste their last opportunity. That said, there was one last chance if the Rockets couldn't get the ball in bounds, and they almost screwed the pooch here with a terrible decision by Jason Terry to streak into the backcourt on the weak side, practically begging for Shaun Livingston to come up with a steal and a game-winning layup. He's a fingernail short of getting it, and the Rockets escape. I don't want to ignore the takedown that happened in the front court by Draymond, and I can only imagine he was trying to time the foul for when the ball came in bounds with hopes of stopping the clock. Luckily, Beasley didn't get hurt, and the Rockets pick up a big win to make this series a little bit more interesting.